Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, Classics, Last Non-Classics. This is episode number 546 and Doubleshot number 452. Two Batman trades. Excuse me, and they are Batman Detective Comics Volume 4, League of Shadows, and Batman Volume 4, Deus Ex Machina. I will talk about this one and what it basically leads into. First up, it is this one. Volume 3, League of Shadows. This one collects issues 950 to 956. Yeah, 7 issues. Though, here's kind of the thing. This storyline was actually sort of teased with this is actually a follow-up to the first arc of Tiniev's run, where they mentioned the whole thing of League of Shadows, where, unlike originally where League of Shadows was just another name for League of Assassins, the League of Shadows is a separate entity, separate from the League of Shadows. Oh, and Ra's al Ghul popped up as in the storyline. And just by sheer coincidence, there was another arc going on All-Star Batman, and Ra's popped up in that one as well, wearing a suit and carrying a machine gun. I'm not joking about that. He really did do that. Yeah, and plus, this is actually the first time that this particular character's popped up since the pages of Nightwing, Lady Shiva. Yep. I mean, the last time she popped up was actually in the pages of Nightwing, where they reveal she's basically that first, she's from the same age, and now she's back to her natural age. Now, those of you who don't know who Lady Shiva is, she is a creation of Denny O'Neil, who popped up in the Richard Dragon Kung Fu Fighter series back in the 1970s. And here's the thing about her. She is the mother of the second known woman to become Batgirl, Cassandra Cain, who's currently known as Orphan. Yeah, and she's also the first, I would say the first non-white superhero, I would say the first Asian character at DC Comics to get an ongoing series. Yep. Oh, and who is Cassandra Cain's father? Why, assassin David Cain. Despite the fact David Cain is known as the world's greatest assassin, the only people know him for is the guy who slept with Lady Shiva. Excuse me. Yep. And Lady Shiva is back to where she was, back to her natural age, not being in her early 20s. I have no idea why in the world they made her into early 20s. Now she looks like her proper age, which I think her proper age is probably around late 20s, early 30s. I think making her early 20s was actually a terrible idea. Especially since she's supposed to have a 17-year-old daughter. I mean, what did she do? Have this daughter when she was 10? Being in her late 20s makes a little bit more sense. Or possibly early 30s. I don't know how old she's supposed to be, but I do like the fact that the artist, now there's several different artists on here. I have to look up the proper name here. Yeah, it is Marco Tigria, Kristen Deuce, Raul Fernandez, Ebar Ferreira, Eddie Burrows, who's back on the book, Alvaro Martinez, and Fernando Belincho. Yep. Now, one of the most interesting things that they did with the storyline, now this is something that normally Ra's does, and I've seen this happen also in the pages of New Avengers, where when the League of Shadows captured at least 3 members of the Batmen, or at least the Dark, depends on what we call them, when they captured Batwoman, Batwing, and Azrael, do you know what they did to them? They stripped them butt naked and chained them to a pillar. Yeah, they seriously did this. I remember this when this issue came out. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Yeah. And of course, at the end, Lady Shiva is taken out by Ra's by being shot. Now, Ra's is known for using swords. I don't really know why in the world James Timm thought it would be a good idea of him use a gun. Because I've read a lot of Raz's appearances. The man has never used a gun prior to this. And I guess the reason why they had him use a gun, this is just, of course, my theory of the reason why he did it. My theory is that Tinian wanted to try something new with Raz. And it's just so many nods to his first prince like him. Pop in the back with Ubo. Ubo is his bodyguard / right-hand man. Excuse me. And no, Talia does not pop in the story at all. As a matter of fact, Talia is never mentioned here at all. Plus, also, Jacob King is free from his prison, which this kind of leads into stuff happening currently right now in the pages of this particular series with the trial of Batwoman. This is amazing. It's a good storyline, mind you. Next storyline I'm going to talk about next is actually just as interesting. I'm going to give this book a 9.5 out of 10. It's really good. Next up is Deus Ex Machina, with a guest star appearance by Zatanna, and I'm so happy she's back to her classic look now. Now, I have nothing against her New 52 look. It's actually not a bad look per se, but I like this look the best because this is the most familiar look that she's had. Now, I should point out though, like Batman, both her creators are dead. The guy who created, the artist who created, actually passed away I think it's about 2 or 3 years ago. It was not that long ago. I was a little bit surprised that he had passed away. Gardner Fox, who also is the co-creator of Zatanna, he passed away back in the 1990s. Yeah, that was something. Oh, and what other characters Gardner Fox who created besides creating Zatanna? He also created Ray Palmer, the Justice League, and he created, I believe, both the Golden and Silver Age Hawkman. He also created the JSA as well. But Zatanna is one of his most noteworthy characters. But here's the thing. She has had an ongoing series. Published in 2009. Yeah. Got canceled after 16 issues. Most by Paul Dini. Was a great comic book. Just too bad the book got canceled because of New 52. But I should point out, though, this is actually Zatanna's first appearance that I can think of off the top of my head. I would say this is the first time his appearance in Secret 6. Yeah, it's been that long. Yeah, and of course when this came out last year. And Secret 6 ended back in 2016. So, this is actually her first appearance in roughly a year. As far as I know, she didn't pop up in any other comic book before this. After this, let's see, she's part of Mystic U right now. And I don't think she showed up in Dark Knight's Metal. I don't think that she did. Now, the whole thing about this storyline is that, well, this is sort of this is something that was teased in 950, where they bring this up with Azrael. Oh, and I've got to show this off, because my friend Tilly showed this up on Facebook when this came out last year. It's like, it's so surprising the fact that, well, they gave Azrael this particular attire as another suit for him to wear. Excuse me. Because the Suit of Sorrows was basically turning him crazy. So Luke Fox gave him the Nightfall costume. I'm not kidding. This is the Nightfall costume from the 90s. When I saw this, I'm like, I remember this when this came out last year. I'm like, what? You're giving him the Nightfall costume? That's interesting. This why I think he only wore this for a couple issues. And plus, one thing I do appreciate about the storyline is the fact, well, yeah, they do have it where the thing starts off where they go to where Azrael and Batwing go to a basketball game of all things. Yeah. And they invited Kate Kane to this thing because they wanted her to be an actress, because she's a fan of an actress from those vampire movies. And she said, and Luke says, and you want to make goo-goo eyes. and she says, and her comment is, that's right. I need to teach you boys the art of seduction. And Azrael and John Papa is like, okay. Yeah, he has that expression on his face. I'm like, okay. It's just so funny. But this and by the way, this storyline actually teased Dark Knight's Metal because they mentioned stuff about the metal, which is probably the nth metal that, of course, they also mentioned like the god, I believe it's called the God Machine, I think it's called. Plus, in a flashback, as far as I know, I believe this is the first post-flashback appearance of him. and that's Zatanna's father, Giovanni Zartan. Giovanni, Giovanni Zatanna. Yeah, that's him. And I got to admit, this is a very good artistic depiction of the guy. And, oh, in case you're wondering, yes, he is a creation of Gardner Fox. He made his first appearance way back in the first appearance of Superman, Action Comics #1. Not kidding, he did. And to have this gorgeous woman as his daughter, I'm like, wow. I'm like, who that? Like, now I don't remember who the mother of his mother is, but from what I remember reading about, apparently he was also a previous lover of Madame Xanadu. If you don't know who she is, she's basically a tarot card reader who's immortal, and she was in a relationship with both in the Demon Knights series. She was in a relationship with both Jason Blood and Edric the Demon, and she's a smoking hot woman. She even had a brief ongoing series. Yep. But this is a really good storyline. But when it ends, it leads into a Lois Pays a Dying, when it was revealed, oh, Tim Drake is alive. Readers knew that for the past year. Batman didn't know it at all. Oh yeah, and also they had an issue in here which featured the return of Spoiler, making her first appearance since the whole Bending Up Snake storyline. And I really didn't care about this direction the Tindy was taking there. Having her be a hypocrite, having her also turn against Batman for... Oh yeah, and her reason is because everybody believed Tim died, so she just, let's just do an anti-Batman crusade, despite the fact she's doing stuff Batman does. I'm like, it's like Tindy did not know what to do with this character at all. And then once Tim came back, it's like, oh, she's back to normal. It's kind of like saying that she bopped her head against the wall. She went nuts. She formed an alliance with Anarchy, of all people. Yeah, Anarchy. Which, this is actually his, this is a return of one of the Anarchy. There was one that was a corrupt politician who popped up from the... Oh yeah, and also, this is also features the return of a character who had not made an appearance since... I'm trying to remember. I think it was 2013. Yeah, so when this issue came out roughly just last year, this is his first appearance in 4 years. And I do agree with Bat Josh on this, that the way he's drawn here, he looks like an alien. Like, yeah, I know who Wrath is, especially since I read the story like he made his debut in, but why in the world did the artist make him look, when he first shows up, why did he make him look like a freaking alien? It makes no sense at all, the fact that he looked like this. And this, now, it was teased that Stephanie Brown was going to be working with this guy. Nope. That was a complete lie. Yeah, the solicit lied. Where she never teamed with him. Instead, she teams up with Anarchy for some reason. No idea why. Anarchy is one of those many characters that Alan Grant created when he worked on Batman back in the late 80s, early 90s. He's a good character, as a matter of fact. He's even the one who gave him his only ongoing series. Yeah. Because apparently he was the only one at DC who gave a damn about Anarchy, because as soon as the ongoing series ended, Anarchy disappeared for like, I don't know, about 8 years, until he popped up for an issue of Green Arrow, and then later on he got his identity stolen by Money Spider. Yeah, Ulysses Armstrong, who, by the way, he works for the Colony. Yeah, for some reason, the guy who was a very... Well, I don't think I much cared about him. Because not only was he Anarchy in pre-Flashpoint, he was also Red Robin. It's almost kind of like he was a character who had no direction at all. And now they made him a hacker for some reason. And recently, the Colony cut all ties with him because apparently he leaked some classified info for some reason. I don't know why. But, yeah, the Colony has nothing to do with the storyline at all. It's mostly put in Azrael's storyline, which is great. And I like the fact 950 actually teased this very storyline. And then we have the awesome Lowly Pace of Living. Yeah, which the name itself is a nod to Tim Drake's the storyline he first became Robin. And one of the covers of that storyline is actually a homage to his first appearance as Robin. And I personally can't wait to get my hands on that trade. This trade as a whole, I give this one 9.5 out of 10. It's like Tinian was channeling Denny O'Neil with this storyline and the previous one. It's really weird. It's kind of like he just took inspiration from Denny O'Neil stories, excuse me, and made the book interesting. I mean, in the case of the previous one, it's kind of like he took inspiration from the Ra's al Ghul stories. With this one, he took inspiration from the Azrael ongoing series from the 90s, which is interesting, note the fact he did that. Yeah. So, 9.5 out of 10. I do recommend this one, especially the first 4 volumes, for people who are fans of Azrael, especially people who are fans of Denny O'Neil, because it's great, though, the fact Azrael's part of this team. It's kind of like, this team is actually missing still a couple people I would really love to see become part of this team. And those people like, let's see, there's Man-Bat. I personally would love to see him become part of the team. Besides, to give him something for him to do. He does pop up in their storyline, which I'll talk about in the next episode. Let's see, there's also Harper Row, a.k.a. Bluebird. I'd like to see her become part of the team. Clayface is currently off the team now thanks to the fall of the Batman storyline. Yeah. But I guess they can use new members, and I'm glad the fact that they had a first day at Batwing. I was so happy with that, because it kind of felt as though that DC did not know. It's like nobody wanted to bother with Batwing at all, even though yes, he did pop up Batman Eternal, and he did do somewhat, and of course it was teased he was going to be part of the series Spectre had after, which was after Batman Eternal, which was Gotham at Midnight. And Ray Fox completely ignored the ending of Batman Eternal, where it was teased that Batwing was going to be working with Spectre full time, and he no-showed the series. Yep. And it's kind of like, right after Batman Eternal, it's kind of like he just wandered for a while, and then like teams are like, oh, can I use this character? I really like the end of my team. And then when I saw him pop up in Victim Syndicate, I was so happy. Though for some reason, I don't know why in the world Tinian did this. He kind of made him a sort of a carbon copy of Tony Stark, or at least kind of like Bruce Wayne in a way, where he's got like 2 women one woman on both arms, and he's got his own company, which is interesting. My guess is he probably got the money from working for Bruce Wayne. And let's see, adding Azrael was a terrific stroke of genius because it gave him something to do, because it seemed like after Batman Robin Eternal, it seemed like, I don't know what they were going to do with Azrael. Well, like, I was kind of hoping maybe they give him an ongoing series, but I kind of like the fact he's here because it gives him something to do. Though there is still one character I kind of felt as though that even Tom King has kind of wrapped up this character, and that's Gotham Girl. It's kind of like he kind of wrapped her up a bit, and I'm kind of like, what are they going to do next with her? And it was rumored that she was teased be related with Duke Thomas. Of course, that went nowhere. And so aside from Man-Bat and Harper Row, I can't honestly think of any current hero who I could see become part of the Batman, which I still think this is a good direction for the series. I like what he's doing in the series, I just didn't like what he was doing with Stephanie Brown. And apparently when he brought back Tim Drake, it's kind of like he had an okay idea what he wanted to do with him, but yeah. So that's it for this episode. Stay tuned for the next episode where I'm talking about 2 more Batman trades. And one, of course, is set in the future. The other is present day, but also flashback to the past. But you'll find out what that is in the next episode. Okay? But until you see the next episode, bye.